Sorry about that, Machi. Instagram gives you a 1 hour live and then you've got to clock back in. You were just talking about the poignant moment about when you were at the MD Anderson Center. But after that, there was happiness because the BBC invites you to give Martina Navratilova a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I'm at that table. This is so beautiful. And we stay at the Buckingham Gate Hotel, which is very close to your heart. So let's talk about that particular Lifetime Achievement. I remember Martina Navratilova actually broke down because you had just come out of recovery. I don't think she even knew you were going to give that award away to her.
Yeah, so we came out of the MD Anderson late 2003, early 2004. And I remember around February, BBC had contacted me saying that they wanted to give a Lifetime Achievement Award to one of my favorites, Martina Navratilova. Now, the magic of Martina Navratilova is not the 21 Wimbledon titles she's won. It's not the 50+ Grand Slams she's won. It's not the fact that she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and did some amazing feats. But the human being that Martina Navratilova is, the friend that she is, the confidant that she is. Martina Navratilova was my 9 p.m. phone call every single day while I was at the MD Anderson Cancer Hospital. And the first thing that she would say is like, "Hey, Leo, how was your day?" And I knew, Hrishi, that she had already spoken to Dr. Brown, she had already spoken to Sanjay, she had already spoken to Dr. Popat, and found out exactly how my day of treatment had gone, but yet had the compassion and the humanness to still have a 45-minute, 1 hour phone call with me every single day. As we know that lady, she works like clockwork. She's one of the most thorough professionals that I've met. But her compassion and the things that she stands for, the beliefs that she has, the ethics that Martina Navratilova has is phenomenal. So in February, when BBC were awarding her a Lifetime Achievement Award, I called you in Bombay and I said, "Machi, this is a request that BBC have given. Why don't we go together?" And you flew from Bombay, I flew from Orlando, coming out of the MD Anderson, and we met in London. And was it Frank Bruno who was sitting at the
what a
table with
memory.
us?
Elephant's memory. John Lloyd,
Yes.
Tim Henman, Frank Bruno, the boxer. What an
Yes.
evening. And you going on stage to give the award to Martina.
We surprised the hell out of Martina. When she walked up, she just burst out crying. She fell into my arms on the stage and she was just in tears because Martina Navratilova, guys, from the finals at Wimbledon, and when the next weekend I was at the MD Anderson, promised that she will not play a tennis match until I came out of the hospital. I recovered. I had lost the 128 pounds that I had put on because of the steroids and the chemotherapy and the treatment, and that she would not play a tennis match till I got on the court again. So in February, when I had met her, she had missed out on the US Open. She had missed out on the Australian Open. She had missed out on Grand Slams, which I felt she could have won. And just as it would prove, 2004, she ended up winning the US Open with Bobby Bryan, if I'm not mistaken. But when I saw her in February, she had no idea that I had come out of the hospital yet. And I was going to be in London. She knew that I was, recovered and that I was at home in Orlando, but she didn't know I was going to come and be there for her. And when we showed up, I remember there was chocolate mousse that was served for dessert. And both you and me wolfed down our share, and then we ordered extras also. And Martina just took 1 spoon of the chocolate mousse. And I'm like, "Aren't you going to finish that?" She goes, "No, you can have it." Because when you're eating sweet, you don't have to eat hordes of it. Your taste buds just need to feel, and you need to put that chocolate mousse in your mouth and let it swirl in your mouth so your taste buds get satiated by the taste of it. And that's where your hunger pangs go. I mean, she was
Beautiful.
always teaching me lessons, and she is quite an amazing champion.
And we've been there. The part of the magic of being friends for so long is you're able to be there for each other's firsts. You were convinced that you wanted to buy an apartment in Bandra. I remember opening up an empty apartment night after night and just sitting there, watching the sea on one side and watching Bandra on the other side, and you saying, "Machi, I feel the magic in this place. I want to buy it." And there is a Bandra connection always. Everybody from Bandra who's listening to this, you'd want to hear this. Why you were so keen that you buy an apartment there, and you eventually realized your dream. just like I did when I bought that quaint little place in Red Rose and you were there, and my mom and you went out shopping for me. And so it's so touching. Talk about that.
Yes, we bought your red curtains from Fab India. Mama and me went shopping, and as you know, I love real estate. I love to do up real estate and do the interiors and stuff. But when I first came to Bombay, yours was the first house I came to way back in the day. And from Shraddha, after buying your vegetables and paying for your gas and everything, then I felt I needed to get a place of my own. And then I eventually we both went and saw 73 different apartments and homes around Bombay. And in Bandra was the one place I wanted to stay because way back when I was a 9-year-old, I played my first tennis tournament here in Bandra. And I remember I was the mascot of the Indian national hockey team. And we were staying in Kolaba behind the Taj. And my dad was playing the Aga Khan trophy, if I'm not mistaken. And I had read in the newspapers as a 9-year-old that there was a tennis tournament at Khar Gymkhana and Bandra Gymkhana. And I pestered my dad for 3 days there to teach me how to take the train from VT station to get off in Bandra station and come and play this tournament. So my dad's like, listen, I can't bring you every day. So he gave me 100 rupees every single day. The first day he showed me the ride from VT to Bandra station, get out of Bandra station, walk straight down Turner Road, and Bandra Gymkhana is on your left. And I played for 6 days. And on the 6th night, Dad woke me up and he said, how are your matches going? And I said, pretty good. He goes, have you lost a match yet? And I'm like, no. He goes, that means you're in the final. I said, I don't know. And he said, that means you're playing for a trophy. I said, I don't know. So he said, tomorrow I'm coming with you. It's Sunday morning. My finals also is late in the evening, he said. So he took the train with me. We bought a vada pav at VT station and we got on. And we got off at Bandra station, walked down Turner Road, came to Bandra Gym. And when we walked in, there were trophies lined up. And I remember for the first time in my life as a 9-year-old, I realized the sparkly trophies that could be won. And I won that match. I believe I beat Sandeep Kirtane in the final, 7-6, 6-7, 7-6. It was a fast court at Bandra Gym, so I couldn't really break serve. But I won. And they gave me a check there. They gave me a check of like some 3,250 rupees or something. And I thought I was the king of the world. So when my appa took me down to Carter Road, right outside Otters Club, there used to be a quality thela wala there. And we had chocobar ice cream. Remember the chocobars back then? Yeah. Vanilla in the middle and the hard chocolate on the out. And we were eating chocobar ice creams. And my dad's like, what are you going to do with this check? And I said, I'm going to buy myself an ice cream factory. And he started laughing. He's like, I think you're going to have to win a few matches for that. So he said, what are you really going to do with this check? And I said, I think I'm going to buy an apartment here on the seafront. Having Goan Portuguese blood in me from Goa. I love the ocean. I love water. And I said, I'm going to buy an apartment here in Bandra on the waterfront. And my dad's like, buddy, you're going to have to win a lot of tournaments for that. So many years later, I guess I won enough. I guess I, put a little bit of money in the bank. I came and I showed you this apartment on Carter Road that I wanted to get. And I remember when we walked into every apartment, we used to sit there in empty shells and we used to feel the energy of the place. And I remember this was the one apartment that you said, yeah, let's do this. There was one on Pali Hill we had seen, but you didn't like that one. It was too big. It was too much work. There were a few we had seen in Juhu, which was also nice. But I remember you liking this apartment and saying, Machi, get this. This is your first apartment here. Yeah. So I got my first apartment, thanks to you as well.
And a man who's a total teetotaler, doesn't touch a drop of alcohol, never, went near drugs, smoking. But whenever he didn't have practice in the morning, he didn't have a game in the morning, we rogues would take him in Bandra to Pali Hill to Club 9. I'm sure you still pass by there. It doesn't exist anymore, but you pass by and a wave of nostalgia floods you.
Is it true that the DJ turned towards the church?
DJ Denzel, yeah. What music he used to play?
Fabulous music.
He's a father, he's a priest in the Middle East. And fabulous music.
He's in Dubai, is he?
Correct. And
so DJ Denzel was such a sweetheart. He would play all sorts of Bollywood, Bhangra mix and all this stuff. But the minute we would walk into the club, we always had our table right next to his DJ console. And the minute we'd
Yeah.
walk in, that table would be ready for us. They knew I liked my fresh lime sodas, and they would keep that there. They knew you liked your drink, they'd keep that there, and he would start on Latin jazz. I remember he introduced me to Shakira. He introduced me to one of my favorites back in the day, Dizzy Gillespie, the big horn player, and DJ Denzel. What a guy! He used to play some great Latin music. Huh?
And we used to sign off with Shaggy, Mr. Lova Lova.
That's right, Mr. Bombastic.
Sanjay Devnani says it's
Sanjay
now a
D.
pizza place. Hi, Sanjay Devnani. He says it's now a pizza place. So maybe
We got to
we
go
should go
there,
and ask.
Sanj. We'll play music of our cars. Play Mr. Bombastic, you know.
and, and in that
Or
aspect,
for all the gundagiri we did, we'll play It Wasn't Me.
yeah, totally. You're such a good father. I always give an example. Despite being such a globetrotter, you have so much love for Yana. And, I feel it's so special that we were able to be there when our daughters were born. You remember those memories, the Breach Candy Hospital and then Leelavati.
I remember when Tiara was born, it was such a proud moment because I brought Ayana with me and we came to Lilavati and Anchal and you were there. And Tiara is such a good looking little girl. She's such a sweetheart. And Ira, I love you too. But Tiara was the first. And I remember when I was there, I saw your eyes light up when I actually picked up Tiara and you handed her to me. And I had her in my arms. It flashed back to the sandpit when we were 3 and 4 years old at La Martiniere in Kolkata. And these were the dreams that we had, having the parents that we had, the Amma and Appas that we had, who nurtured us to become the men that we became. I think that our children really are the ones who inspire us. You went the conventional route and you got married to a beautiful woman and had 2 lovely kids. Me, I never went that conventional route. I never ever got married. But because I had come out of the MD Anderson and they told me 3 things. One, that I would never run. So I've been running ever since 2003 and struggling really to
Wow.
find a way to retire. COVID's not really helping me in my one final last roar of my retirement year. The second thing they told me at MD Anderson was I'd never grow my hair again. So you remember my long ponytail, the samurai
Yeah.
ponytail that I
Yeah.
had? I grew that out after that. And the third thing that they said was that I would never have a kid. So I went the unconventional route, did not get married, but had a kid to test my DNA and to make sure that everything was fine. And I've had the most wonderful kid in the world. I mean, Ayana, as a family, we've gone through ups and downs as life has played out. But Ayana has been one of the greatest inspirations in my life. She's been phenomenal in the way that she conducts herself. She's been phenomenal in the way that she's such a great kid, And every once in a while, I look at her and she reminds me so much of my father. The stubbornness, which is a good stubbornness to know what she doesn't want. The athleticism that she has, the mental aptitude that she has to pick up on things. She's a great student. So Ayana played football for school. She did taekwondo with Kawas Bilamoria, one of my first roommates at the Barcelona Olympics, who's now her sports master at the Ambani School. But thanks to the Ambani School that encouraged sport, Ayana now wants to be an Olympic champion and wants to play at Wimbledon. So just when I thought that I was getting away from tennis and getting away from, traveling and things, if Ria and myself do things right as individual parents to Ayana, I would love to give Ayana a chance to be the best that she can be, to play at Wimbledon, to go and use those locker rooms again as a professional athlete that she used to run around as a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old when I'd go and play the Olympics there in 2012, or when I'd go and take her to the tournaments around the world and she'd interact with all the locker attendants, she'd interact with all the Navratilovas and the Nadals of the world and the Djokovic's of the world. I think it would be phenomenal to have a 3rd generation Olympic athlete in the family, but those are dreams. But both you and me have always known that if we don't dream big, you're never going to get nowhere. So I would
I see
encourage
Anna
Ayana
on
no
a
matter what
tennis
she wants to do.
court. I see Anna on a tennis court, and I see the wonderful lady that she's growing up to be. But I will always remember holding her at the Breach Candy Hospital and looking
You
into
were
her eyes and saying, "This is
the
it."
first human being other than the
So
doctors
beautiful.
and Ria and myself at the hospital. I remember we were playing against Pakistan that weekend.
Yes, yes,
We're playing against
yes.
Pakistan in Davis Cup, and the CCI club was so gracious to allow us to turn the outfield of, I think it's called Brabant Stadium, the
Brahman Stadium,
outfield of
correct.
Brabant Stadium, which the outfield of a cricket pitch, guys, always has a downslope,
That's
and
right.
it slopes out towards the ropes. But I brought in the Malis from South Club, the same ones we grew up with, Bishuda, and I remember there was a Hrinmoy Chatterjee, Shonara. They came in and lived here under the stadium of Brabant Stadium for 6 months, curing the courts and manicuring the courts to make the outfield of a cricket stadium into a tennis stadium. And it was one of the legendary Davis Cup matches where I'd sleep at Bridge Candy Hospital on a sofa. Ayana was there, and Ria was there, and the whole team was staying at the Taj Hotel. So the team would come from the Taj to practice. I would come from Breach Candy Hospital, practice all day, 2 sessions, do all my workload. And then when the team would have dinner and I'd put them back to bed at the hotel, I would go back to the hospital and sleep on the sofa and come back the next day to play.
And I remember you are an emotional man, but I've never seen you as emotional. I mean, one was the Anderson Hospital, the other is you wrapped in the Indian tricolor after beating Pakistan, and you just broke down on the court. You couldn't even finish your post match interview. And Shahid, your childhood friend, Bobo from Chennai, and Hrishikesh Kannan, your childhood friend from Calcutta, lifting you from both sides and taking you outside the court. It was just one of those magical Leander Paes moments. So much joy that you brought the country, Menchi. You remember that?
Of course I do. You guys saved me that day because the stadium just came onto the court.
Yeah.
I remember it was 2 matches all, and I was not pitted to play that fifth match. But some of the guys decided not to play. They didn't bring their match uniforms and outfits and tennis rackets to the stadium. But that day I had to play the fifth match. Went up 2 sets to love against Akil Khan, and I then got full body cramps because I hadn't played singles for years prior to that, and I hadn't even trained for singles. So I got full body cramps in the third set, full body cramps in the fourth set, lost the fourth set, love six, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just a matter of mind over matter that day. I had to control my mind in the fifth set and somehow won India the fifth rubber. But the whole stadium came down on the court. And I remember Bobo and you coming onto the court, and you all were the first ones to get to me with my dad. And they had already wrapped the India flag around me, and I was just writhing in pain for playing for, the third, fourth, and fifth set took about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So the whole match was close to about 5 hours, and I was writhing in pain because when people were coming onto the stadium, I just had to crouch up, and the cramps was just kicking really hard. And you guys basically said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Just get me to the locker room." And I remember I think you took my tennis racket or Shahid took my racket. I can't remember. The team had taken my bag, and we just kind of surrounded me and took me into the locker room under Brabant Stadium. And it took me a good 3 weeks to recover after that match. I was just so exhausted, and the full body cramps was tough because I hadn't played singles much. So that was one of the memorable ones, beating Pakistan in India at the Brabant Stadium.
Style Bhai, the rapper from New York City, has joined us. Style Bhai, thank you very much.
Hi.
No matter how close we are, I never take your time for granted. You've got a busy day of calls ahead of you. Before this, you were already on a call with Baichung Bhutia, a mutual friend. But I'm going to sign off with how we are all attached to places, you in particular. I mean, the early days, we used to go to Trattoria at night, or to the Haji Ali Juice Center, and then to the Holiday, and then, of course, the Buckingham Gate Hotel, where you won so many Wimbledons. You have an apartment that they keep for you. But also the Maratha, where you stayed for a while. And Baichung's then girlfriend, now wife, was in front of house. And let's sign off with some fun and the wonderful party that happened. All your friends from around the planet. That is your true winnings. The 18 Grand Slams, the 7 Olympics, the Olympic singles gold, the world record in Davis Cup doubles. I'm sure you're going to put this at par with that. The relationships that you've cultivated around the planet. And the love that people feel for you was so apparent there. These people who just dropped everything they had and got there to celebrate Leander's birthday. Let's sign off with that.
I think that our parents, Machan, have brought us up to believe that relationships are the greatest things that we cherish in our lives. I just saw a young man, the trick shot guy, who is a phenomenal trick shot golfer, just signed on. So hi, bud. Hope everything's safe in England. But there are so many of our friends
Aunt
on here on
Jules.
this.
Hello, sorry to interrupt you. Aunt Jules. Love you.
Julie's on. Hi,
Julie's on.
Jules.
Yeah.
Uh,
The relationships.
that's my
Yeah.
mom. That's
Yeah.
my mom, my stepmom, Julie, who I've known since I was 6 years old.
Love
She's
you.
been a phenomenal guide in my life. She's been a phenomenal mother to all three of us kids, a great partner to my dad. I wouldn't be who I am without her. My first international racket was a lobster racket, and that was Julie's racket. I borrowed it from her. And on the first day
Oh.
itself, I tore the grip up, man. It was a suede grip. It wasn't supposed to be for professional playing. I
This
tore
is
the
when she
grip
was
up.
flying, huh? Back in the
It's when
day.
she was flying back in the day. I think I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I got that racket. It was crazy. But yeah, I wouldn't be who I am without Julie. So thank you, Jules. But relationships are the most important thing in the world for me. And the memories that I've been able to have as a young Indian boy from Calcutta, having traveled the world now probably about 40, 50 times, because we circumnavigate the world 3 times every year with our tennis calendar. And having done this for 30 years, it's been a lifetime of experiences. So my one-on-one relationships, as you know, with people are something I pride myself on, especially when people are in need. I may not be there to celebrate a birthday, or I may not be there to celebrate a wedding. I may not be there to celebrate a great achievement, because I'm there for someone else who needs. But like, I haven't spent one birthday home since I was 12 years old with you guys, But that one particular year you're talking about, we were at the Grand Maratha, and I remember my whole life has been in hotels, right? And that's one of the things that stands out for the lifestyle of an individual professional athlete. You stay at the amazing hotels around the world. You stay at some real shitty ones as well. But as you get better, the Maratha was where we were staying at the time, and you would work all day at the radio channel. And then when you'd come in the evening, there used to be a massage chair. And this massage chair that was there in my room had Hrishi K's bum impression on it, because he spent more time in that massage chair than any human being in the world. In fact, if he showed up to my room and my room was full of my friends and someone was sitting in that massage chair, this guy would kick them off. The amount of massages that Rishi had from that massage chair, that used to be like, sometimes he'd order his biryani. He used to love the biryani at Maratha with raita, and he used to order firni and things after. He'd come from his radio station, he'd come in, he would say, Machi, order, I'm really hungry. And that was the routine. So I would order his dinner, biryani and raita and his dessert. And he would go into the washroom, wash his face. And whoever was sitting on the massage chair at that time, on the way into the washroom, we'd be like, that's my chair, right? So that poor person would have to find the bed or another chair or the floor to sit on. So when Your Highness would come by after washing his face, would sit on the chair, and for 3 hours, whether he was eating or chatting or giving us the stories of how his day went, he would continuously get massage. That body of yours has had so much massage in his life, more than me playing for 30 years. Sanjay Singh has not massaged me more in my life than that massage chair the Marathas massaged you.
Once I went to sleep and you and Sanjay put toothpaste on my face, a mustache. Nikhil Bhatia joins us. Nix went to
What's
school
up,
with
Nicky
Leander.
boy? Dude, Nikhil Bhatia is such a fabulous golfer. Whenever I get a chance to play golf with him, he's done one of the best things in the world. Just like Ira and Tiara, just like Ayana, Nikhil's 2 kids are my favorites in the world. And Chitra and Saisha are both into golf now. So Nikhil and his wonderful wife Ekta have gotten the kids into golf. And we had this discussion, Nick, I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but probably about 2 or 3 years ago, when Nick and me used to play golf together. And I would tell him the best thing to do with young children, especially young girls, is to get them into sport. Because by playing sport at a decent level, I'm not even talking pro level, at a decent level, in American colleges, there's a thing called Title IX. And Title IX speaks for equality, that Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, and the fraternity that believes in equality, all of us, have campaigned and confirmed equal scholarships for girls as there are for boys in sport. So any college in America that has an American football team have 133 scholarships for boys. So they have to make up for that many scholarships and more for the girls. And obviously American football is not played by the girls. They play rugby or soccer or softball or tennis or golf. Nikki Bhatia has put, as I call him Tiger, has put Chitra and Saisha into golf. And little Chitra is playing such fabulous golf now. I think it's fantastic to get our kids into sport. It is a great vehicle to educate them. It's a great vehicle to give them a skill to stand on their own 2 feet. Great way to teach them skills of leadership, teamwork, how to handle triumph, how to handle defeat, you know. And as a good old Rudyard Kipling says in the poem If, that stands on top of the front entrance doors to Centre Court at Wimbledon, sport is a way of life. And in that passage that Rudyard Kipling says on the top of Wimbledon Centre Court doors, if you can handle triumph and disaster, if you can handle triumph and disaster and treat these two imposters just the same, I add a word on top of that: enter. Enter the game of life. Enter Centre Court at Wimbledon. Enter the challenges of what life can give you and be the best you can be. So I think we need to get all our kids away from these smart gadgets and control the number of hours they spend on these smartphones and gadgets and iPads, and get them into sport.
Shashank Khaitan joins us. I have so much love for Shashank. I've loved his films, which is Hamti Sharma Ki Dulhania and Dhadak. I was shocked. I mean, to me, it was just my childhood friend calling me and saying, you know, there's this club in Andheri, come there, and, you know, I'm just hitting a few balls. And I saw Shashank play along with your designer friend, Shantanu Nikhil. And I was like, this guy's volleys are pretty cool. So
Dude, the Indian sporting world, the Olympic world has lost a pure athlete to films. And his films are beautiful. I love Shashank. I love your films. I love what you do. You're one of those few rare directors in the world who understands sport. Why? Because you play great sport. He's one of the best right backs in football. He plays on the All-Star team.
He's missing football. He's saying, I'm missing the football.
And we're really missing the football in this lockdown. And hopefully, you know, everyone's practicing social distancing and staying at home. But when the lockdown opens, I can't wait to play football with you, brother. It's so much fun. He's a hell of a right back in football. He actually marks me, which is fabulous to play against. But even his tennis, he has such an unbelievable serve. Dude, this is officially for the record. Shashank Khaitan has a more powerful serve in tennis than Leander Paes does. He has a fabulous serve. Dude, I can't break an egg, dude. He has a phenomenal serve.
Listen, you have to finish that thing about the birthday and everybody coming from all parts of the world, which is whether it's Aravindan Parararaj Sekharan or Paul Dowie, Sunny Utthup, myself. You know,
you guys
that's a big
rogues,
flourish
man.
Of your birthday and everybody
rogues.
coming together from all over the world.
You guys get me into so much trouble. I'm always having to dig myself out of a grave. So the story that Hrishi K wants me to tell you is that I came back 1 year after winning a bunch of tournaments, and I hadn't seen all my friends for about 10 months. And as much as I traveled to Australia, I saw Paul Dowie there. I traveled to England, and Nikki and Nikhil Bhatia, who we just spoke about, and his father had come to Wimbledon. Chris Jones, our old buddy from Calcutta, who had come from Hong Kong. Yourself and myself were here. So all our friends from around the world, there must have been about 45 of us, and their spouses and their partners came over to Bombay to have a yearly celebration like we always do. And we had another big night out, and the guy said, you know, had a fun time, and you're listening to music, and Rishi is always responsible for all the jams and the music and the fun times, and Sunny Utthup was there, and the guys having a grand old time. You can keep giggling, and I'm embarrassed to tell this story, but the boys had one of too many toddies, and as I was drinking limbu pani all night long, I called it a night at about 3 o'clock or maybe 4 o'clock, and I went to bed. only to get a phone call at 5:15 in the morning. And I'm going to protect this wonderful, sweet gentleman, but he was the GM of this hotel, which we're not going to mention.
Yeah.
And he was such a sweet man. But at 5:15, I'd only slept about maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And I picked up my hotel phone, wondering who had called me. And the gentleman said, Lee. So I said, yes. He said, in a very solemn, deep, stern voice, he goes, will you please tell your friends that I'm doing my Surya Namaskar. I'm doing my morning yoga. And as I pulled my curtains open to start my Surya Namaskar and my morning ritual, a bunch of your friends are skinny dipping in my pool. Will you please at least ask them to not
And not
scandalize?
not attractive people. Sunny Uthup
Hey
and
man,
me.
beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I ain't going there. I don't play that game. But you know, he said, can you please ask your
Oh,
dear friends
God.
not to scandalize my other guests in the hotel, and please ask them to put their swim shorts on. So Hrishi K and a few of the other guys, while I went to bed, were skinny dipping in the pool. Much to the shock of a GM who was doing his morning Surya Namaskar.
Listen, I love you. Take care of yourself. You've got a long day ahead. This has been an hour plus of magical memories. God bless you, Leander Paes.
Love you, Machan.
Take care.
Thank you
Love
for being an
Bye.
inspiration
See you.
always.
Take care. Love you.